Triple M, it is Robbie and Carly, and we're celebrating a milestone this year. A legend of WA media is Michael Thompson from Channel 9, and he's celebrating 45 years on air this year, which is unbelievable. 45 years in the media. He joins us right now to talk about it. Tomo, welcome to the show.
Robbie, Carly, thank you. It's great to be here. It doesn't feel like 45 years. I mean, it really does go quick. I mean, it seems a while ago, but 1980 was when I started in newspapers, the Daily News, the old afternoon newspaper here. So,
surely they were smoking at their desks back then.
I can remember my first day. I can remember what I wore on my first day. I didn't have a jacket. I went out and bought a sports jacket. I can remember the shirt and tie going in there, nervous. It was a cadetship. So back then, it was almost like an apprenticeship. You had to learn how to do touch typing. You had to learn how to do shorthand. And you went to courts and crime. You know, you learnt all the parts of the trade of becoming a journalist. And it was a 3-year cadetship. So it was great fun. It was daunting at first, but it was great fun.
I feel like it would have been the halcyon days of the media as well. Like, it would have been good times back then, wouldn't it?
Well, it was great. And I was 20 when I started, or 19 when I started. Newspapers dominated. There were 6 newspapers in Perth.
There was 6 in Perth alone?
There were 6 newspapers, yeah.
Whoa.
So where I worked at, there was the West Australian, the Daily News, the Weekend News, there was the Sports Review, the Countryman, there was the Western Mail, the Sunday Times, the Sunday Independent.
What?
So newspapers were really big. Then 6 o'clock news started to become a big factor. And the way the news is delivered, it sort of changed. So 6 p.m. news became a very dominant factor. Now we have things online. You can get news from your phone. Carries so much. You can watch it at 6 o'clock on Channel 9 if you want. You can look at the 9 app. You can look at. There's so many different ways to get news these days. So a lot's changed.
45 years, I can't even imagine the kind of stories that you've covered. Obviously, we think about the big headlines and you were behind the desk for all of them. But what are some of those little human interest stories? And we often get a lot of them out of regional WA that come to mind when you think of some of the stories you've covered.
Well, some of the stories I will never forget. My first live cross was in regional WA in Kununurra. That was a guy named Joseph Schwab, who was they based Wolf Creek, I think, on him. He was the top-end killer. He sort of had his sniper rifles and was indiscriminately killing people who were camping. So the Kimberley was terrified by Joseph Schwab, who they eventually found out who he was, and he was shot and killed out on a place called Plum Plains near Fitzroy Crossing. But that was in regional. My first ever live cross was...
What a first ever cross.
To the Today Show with Liz Hayes and George Negus, who are 2 legends of Australian media. So I will never forget that. Whale rescues down at Augusta. Just Our Water was a show. We did a lifestyle show. We used to travel a lot. Exmouth, which is one of my favourite towns of all time. Esperance is one of my favourite towns. We went up to Exmouth and did the eclipse. That was a really big event for us a couple of years ago. That was one of the first big online things that we did, digital, that did extremely well. So I've got a real connection with regional Western Australia. I love it. I've always very big on getting outside, the outdoors, camping, fishing, and sort of embracing it also. I love regional Western Australia.
Now, mate, you've been on the cutting edge of news for 45 years. You've seen many different forms of media. Have the guys at Channel 9 got you onto TikTok and Instagram yet?
That's a really good question. You've got to be on there in some shape or form. We have a sort of an outfit that helps with that sort of thing. TikTok, we certainly 9 News, we get involved with TikTok, and it's massive. And you've got to embrace all of that, even though I'm probably a little bit slow in the uptake with understanding some of the newer things that are coming through. But times have changed so much. In the old days, when I started, there was mobile phones didn't exist. Laptops computers didn't exist. There was no one had a computer in a newsroom. It was all typewriters.
Mad, eh?
And manual typewriters, not even electric, manual typewriters. People smoked inside. Everyone smoked. And even in Daily News in the old days, it was a real tough, hard-drinking era dominated by males. There were some females, but it was dominated by males. It's changed dramatically, thank God, in that sense. But it wasn't unusual for the sub-editors to go have a drink after the first edition went to air, which was 11:30, 12 o'clock. They'd go to the Palace Hotel, have a couple of beers, come back, we'd do the next edition, then the next edition. And Very different times. Seeing someone sit there with a rolly weed sort of, sticking to their bottom lip, churning out on the typewriter with smoke sort of hanging around their face and just ripping off pieces of paper, and they'd be sent downstairs to the hot metal and they'd type the hot metal, like literally lead melting into the hot metal. So it was totally different era. Great fun, but, the changes have helped the media a lot in getting news. Phones now, we get pictures of just about everything. And security cameras, just about everything you see a shot of. Whereas in the old days, you had to go out and physically take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Events happen, or there would be something happen, an event or a crime. Now you generally get a picture of it.
Absolutely.
It's an extraordinary era, and the change has been dramatic.
Yeah, well, we're so glad you're still here.
Thank you.
45 years later. What an achievement. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
And I know you're a busy man, so we appreciate you stopping in to chat to us. And, congratulations on a huge milestone.
Thanks very much, guys.